Hey there, fantastic writers of the ZB tribe. Welcome back to Z Burger Box. Today we're diving right into the nitty-gritty of getting organized in the world of publishing. As an author, you'll be making a big mistake if you think it's as simple as writing a book and submitting it. Oh yes, I've done it too. You've submitted and now you sit back and you wait for that golden reply. Well, doing that is fine and well, and yes, if it works for you, I'm happy. As for the rest of us, I can guarantee you that you'll sit back and wait to infinity and beyond while pulling your hair out. I would like to make this submission and waiting process as easy for you as possible. So if you've ever wondered how to smoothly navigate that maze of publishers, their submission guidelines, and how to calculate that anxiously awaited response date, you're in the right place. Let me tell you about one or two of my secrets. Before you can even think about submitting, you have to get organized. And that's exactly what I'll be helping you with today. By now, you know what to do. Pause this video and go and grab that notepad. All right, are you ready? Excellent. Now, let's get organized. So you've written your masterpiece and now it's time to find the perfect publisher. First things first, research. I'm going to show you how to dig into various publishers, how to read and follow their submission guidelines, and most importantly, how to keep all of this info neatly organized. Please forgive me, I'm a typical Capricorn, and I love to keep things simple and effective. I'm a big fan of working smarter, not harder. For your convenience, let's switch to a screenshot of the 2 custom forms I've created to keep myself organized. The basic book checklist and the basic submission checklist. These help me to keep track of my submissions. You can take a screenshot of mine and easily create your own checklist in Excel. You can edit and modify it to suit your specific needs, and once you're happy, you can print out a couple of blanks and place them in a file, ready to be filled in with a pen once you are ready to submit. Now, let me walk you through how to fill them out. First, let's look at the basic book checklist. I will use the form I created for my book, AI Guard, an experimental interview. This is a non-fiction book, and therefore I have a lot of info on this checklist. Remember, when you are writing fiction like a novel, you may not need all of this. I prefer to use this form for all my books, and all I do is I skip the parts I don't need. Don't worry, you'll soon see what I mean. Right, at the top, you'll see Book Checklist 4, and this is where you will write the title of your book. Next, documents needed. You will customize this according to your writing process, but my process includes my research document, which I call source info. Then we all have a draft, which is your actual writing. Then I personally like to keep my cover pages and index separate because this just makes it easier for me to keep tabs on the word count of the actual story. The cover page and your index or contents, if you are making use of them, as well as other things like disclaimers, dedications, and acknowledgements, are all extra pages that your publisher includes once they are ready and busy with the publishing process. I make use of them because as an author, you will always have the final say as to what is being printed. And this is just a small way of keeping yourself one step ahead of the publishing process. Remember, once you have that golden yes, things happen fast, and it's handy to have some sort of an idea as to what you want to see printed. Before you submit, you will need to have your book proposal as well as the letter to the publisher prepped, as they must accompany your submission. As you can see, I have allowed a space for these 2 so I can tick them off. Don't worry, I'll make another video on how to prep these 2 documents. All right, now you can see that I've made a list of things I want to make sure is correct before I submit. Please follow along. First, source info. I compile a source info document from which I copy and paste my info into my main draft. I found that if this document's info and layout closely resembles my main draft, most of the work is done. So, have I copied all my research and info to my source document? Meaning, have I included all the important parts I want to convey in my book? I ask myself, have I done my spell check, for example, by using Grammarly? Is my spacing correct? Is my whole document in black font Times New Roman size 12 with no colorful and the comments removed? This will only be applicable if you make notes or highlight things you still wanted to edit later like I do. Before I copy and paste, I prefer these to be removed. Next, the main draft. Now, I ask myself the same questions as I did with my source document, like, have I copied all the info from my source document? What does the spelling, spacing, font look like? Have I made sure there's no colorful or comments? In my main draft, I pay special attention to the layout, the spacing, and the page numbers. Moving on to the cover page, which displays my book title and my name, and the index. I double check to see if my title is correct, and although you don't have to have this in, I like to include them, especially for my nonfiction books, the disclaimers. Also optional is there a dedication and is this correct? If this is a nonfiction book, I check to see if the contents which appear in the front of the book is listed correctly. If I made use of a forward, introduction, preface, acknowledgements, and an index, I will check all of these. Then, the actual book proposal document. Is it displaying the correct title, the genre, the target market? Have I listed some books that are similar to mine? Is my mini biography up to date? Do I have my taglines, my blurb, a synopsis of my story? Personally, I like to see a visual of what my book looks like, so I create a sample book cover for this book. It's great for manifestation purposes. I simply love using Canva. It's easy and it's free, and you'll see a link to it in the description box below. So, to finish this checklist, I look at my letter to the publisher. As I use these forms as templates, I do the same with my book proposal document and my letter to the publisher. I often use a previous letter and a document to use as a template for the next submission. And therefore, I must double check to see whether I have changed the details to refer to the current book. If a specific name of an editor is to be used, for example, is their name displayed correctly? Believe me, you don't want to end up with egg on your face by submitting to Mrs. Green at Hay House, but your letter still refers to Mr. Black at Bantam Press. Lastly, I read through the letter and I make sure that all the info I need to convey is updated. Again, don't stress, I will dedicate separate videos to these two very important documents. All right, well done for keeping up. I understand if your head is spinning, but bear with me. I promise you, once you have more than one book submitted, you'll be forever grateful that you've done this author admin. Okay, take a deep breath as we are now diving into the basic submission checklist. This one is very easy to use, and you will definitely thank yourself for keeping this one on file. Again, I will use the form I created and used for this nonfiction book. At the top, I completed the book title next to submission 4. Then I described the genre. On the right, you'll see the documents I know I will need when I do the actual submission. And so I created a space where I can tick them off. My sample chapters, my letter to my publisher, and the book proposal. And no, there's no box for the book, as I reckon the book you are submitting is the purpose of the exercise, isn't it? Now, You can customize this document any way you wish, but you will see that I've decided to create 6 columns to keep tabs on the submissions I wanted to make for this book. Publisher, how am I submitting? Online or email? The date of the submission, the expected response date. Have they received my submission? And for later, have I received a rejection or response notification? Now, before I could complete this checklist, I first had to compile a file with all the publishers that I thought I may want to submit to in the future. Here you can see my file. I've arranged everything in alphabetical order. And how I did this was I went online and I Googled for publishers that will accept unsolicited submissions. This means that they will accept your submission without you having to have an agent. This is really a wonderful way for novice authors to get a foot in the door to the publishing world. First, I studied each publisher online, and once I felt that I could make use of them in the future, I printed their basic info and highlighted the parts that I thought was important to see at a glance. Here you can see my copy of Eurobooks, the publisher that offered me my publishing deal. I highlighted things like the genres, how to submit. Is it online? Is it via email? Is there a specific editor allocated for a specific genre? Anything that is crucial for the submission process will be highlighted. Why? Well, because publishers receive so many submissions, and because time is precious to them too, if they spot a submission that has not followed their very clearly stipulated submission guidelines on their website, they will not even bother to read your sample chapters. Okay, let's dive back into the template. Let's move on and presume you now have your file with all the possible publishers next to you. Now you can start making a list of all the publishers you wish to submit to. List the publisher, how they want the submission done, and once you've done this, you can complete the date of your submission. Next, you will want to know how long you will have to wait for that yay or nay answer. Most publishers will also display this info on their website, and it will be good for you to highlight this too. This can vary from 6 weeks to 3 months, some even as long as 6 months. Now, look at this. Here's a handy tool I use to calculate response due dates, timeanddate.com. Now, this is totally free, and this website is a total game changer as it helps you to calculate response due dates, making sure you're always on top of your submissions game. I will leave a link to this page in the description box below and quickly give you an overview on how to use it. You want to make sure you are on add days. Enter the day you have made your submission, and to the right of it, you will make sure that add with the plus sign is selected. Next, you look at the days your publisher has indicated that it will take for them to review your submission. The first one I submitted to was Penguin Random House. I added my date of 15 April, and because Penguin indicated a waiting period of 6 weeks, I made sure that the years, the months, days, boxes all displayed 0, and I entered a 6 in the weeks box. I scrolled down to calculate new date, and voila. Underneath it, my due date was displayed as 27 May 2023. I continued to do this for all the other submissions, and soon I could see what the expected waiting period was. You can decide for yourself how you want to use this form. You can make a mental note of the rough due date, or you can check your file after a couple of weeks, or you can make a note of this inside your email program like Outlook. This is quite handy, especially for those who work in it often. Now, once this was done, I knew I could use this waiting period to either take a break from writing I could start doing research on a new book or whatever I felt like to do. Everything except wring my hands or pull my hair out while I waited for that golden yes. After completing my form, I knew there was nothing I could do now but wait. This is something we must all make peace with. Remember, it's pointless to want to email a publisher to follow up on a book submission and the review thereof. They simply do not have the time to respond to everyone, hence the specification on their websites. Okay, to conclude this form, you will see that just for my own records, I wanted to make sure that they received my submission. Believe me, it happens. You think you've done an online submission and meanwhile a gremlin has come along only to make your submission disappear into the ethers. After making a submission, wait for the confirmation. Wait just to see that it was successful. Most publishers also have an automated reply system, and you'll receive an automated confirmation into your email inbox. If you've done a submission via email and you are 100% sure you have entered the correct email address, your own email system will obviously serve as a confirmation of successful submission. And some publishers are even kind enough to send an automated reply upon receipt of an email submission. Now use these confirmations to tick that received column. As you receive communication from publishers, you can complete the column next to it. I like to add the date of the rejection and where the due date has come and gone and no reply was received. I simply use the letters NR for no reply. In this case, I received an offer to publish my book, and that is what I made a note of, and I highlighted it to celebrate my golden yes. Remember, you can make these basic forms your own, and you can scribble on them as much as you want. As humans, we are very visual, and I found that by using pens and highlighters in different colors, I soon had my own admin lingo going. Give it a try and let me know how it's working for you. Perhaps you have a tip or two to share with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in the comments. Well, so there you have it. These are my personal methods I've created and are using to help me work smarter and not harder. I can honestly say that they've saved my sanity more times than I can count. I hope they make your publishing journey smoother too, and I thank you for hanging out with me again today. Remember, staying organized is the key to success in this crazy writing world. Author administration, it's a necessary evil, but extremely useful if you want to enjoy the writing journey. Remember, you only have to create these templates once, and you're free to edit and modify them to suit your individual style as the years go on. If you found these tips helpful, please don't forget to like this video, and if you keep finding yourself coming back to join me and the ZB tribe, hit that subscribe button, and we look forward to sharing more exciting writing wisdom with you. Until next time, happy writing and submitting. This is Z, signing off.